Okay, I think we can actually start with short introduction and everything. So for the participants who join us, I'm Andrea Škerlj and I'm the organizer of HOW Festival, and today I will be moderating this panel discussion. Actually, this is my first time that I'm moderating panel, so I really prepared myself. And the speakers are Marina, she's the head of sales at BestWestern Hotel Group Central Europe. Gemma is Deputy Director for Congress and Events in Bella Center in Copenhagen. And Anđela is Business Development Manager for MICE Southeastern Europe. So for the short introduction. So the corona has really negatively affected the MICE industry. And I think that the virtual events are mainly served as the good substitute between physical events and hybrid events. But I think that hybrid events came now in the first plan. So for beginning, I would, if you could give us just a short brief and overview what is situation with events in Germany, Denmark, and Croatia, but also what was the hardest challenge you've been facing during coronavirus?
Who should start, Andrea?
You can.
Okay. Okay. That was not my purpose, but okay. Yeah, tough times in every country over the world. And in regards of the MICE business, it's really tough because the MICE business segment is so important for Germany and Austria as well, to be honest, and Switzerland. So we are responsible in Central Europe for 11 countries, but I'm now today representing more the German-speaking market because Anđela is with us and Gemma. So I took that role today. Yeah, it's tough times. We had a lot of things to do in regards of cancellation things, in regards of booking for the next year. Then we are allowed to go back to the normal work during the summer season. So a slightly calmness comes into our hotels as well. And we had the books full for the autumn, to be honest. Mainly from small and media companies who make small meetings in our hotels, not the big events. The big events are really gone this year and the next year as well. But we try to get the business we get, and we can catch. And we were happy to get into a slightly normal autumn phase. But then for sure our second lockdown came and all was cancelled all of a sudden for sure. We changed cancellation policies very quickly. So we have some hotel. Our rule in Central Europe is 2 weeks before the conference took place. But we have some hotels who accepted also 24 hours cancellation line before the event exit. So a lot of changes come into our hotels. And the biggest challenge, I think there is not only one big challenge. There are huge big challenges. I think the biggest challenge is the insurance, so that nobody knows what is going to happen. Nobody knows what is the rule in January and February, so you couldn't plan, and hoteliers are used to plan. And I think this is perhaps the biggest challenge from my point of view.
Yes, I would agree with you, Marina. We had almost the same challenges as you did. Similar ones, the cancellations, the administration towards the cancellation. I have to say that Falkensteiner adapted very quickly to the new situation in spring. We were lucky that the majority of our events were postponed. Some of them were postponed to autumn 2020, but unfortunately, due to the situation, they were postponed to 2021 now. And even the smaller amount of the events that was cancelled was not cancelled indefinitely, but the clients are just waiting to see how the situation is going to develop. When we are talking about, I will say now about Southeast Europe, when we are talking about the events that took place actually this year, very similar as in Germany, all of them were mainly smaller events, up to maximum 50 people. All of them were very last minute. So this is something that we really had to adapt to. And I have to say that we also showed the flexibility in terms of our terms and conditions and in terms of the cancellations. And due to the fact that the traveling was most of the time banned and the circumstances were as they were, we didn't capture international business, but rather we captured the local business, same as you did.
Yeah, and I think we've had a similar, of course, situation in Denmark as well. Again, we had lots of postponements and we have had some cancellations, but luckily mostly postponements. And again, it's mostly been national business that we have been able to have going ahead this year so far. Part of our group, we've got 3 hotels in Copenhagen, and we've also got Bella Centar. So our events range in hugely in size, from kind of small boardroom meetings, which have been able to go ahead. And then we often have events for 10,000 or more people. Those ones haven't been able to go ahead, and mostly because they are international clients and they can't travel. So the travel has been our biggest challenge in being able to go ahead with the events. That being said, we are able to run some larger events in Denmark at the moment, and I use the word larger with a little bit of a breath.
When you say that you run now, let's say, larger events in Denmark, can you tell us the number? Because I mean,
yeah, so we can have a maximum of 500 seated at a conference. So we had one last week for 500 people, and it was a hybrid. So again, a larger online audience, and we are able to run trade fairs or exhibitions, and there's not a maximum number of people, but it's more the square meters that you need to allow.
And how does it look? What you have done regarding all restrictions?
In terms of running the events, they are far and wide. So of course it's the spacing between chairs. We have 2 rules. So it's we need to have 1 meter between people, which is actually 80 centimeters between the chairs. We also need to have 2 square meters per person when they're seated. As soon as they go into any standing areas, it needs to be a minimum of 4 square meters per person. And then depending on the size of the event, if we was to have an exhibition or a trade fair, the bigger the exhibition, the more square meters per person we need to allow. And that's going to be our biggest challenge if those rules don't get relaxed going into 21. And obviously what we've put in place is all of the usual extra hand sanitizer, making sure there's spacing out. We actually had an event last week where we trialed testing the delegates as they arrived, so that if anyone did test positive, they would be shown out and sent on their way and given some directions of what then to do. But then everyone that was coming through into the room had a negative test result. So that was a good trial for us to do. And there's lots more measures, which I won't go into all the details of, but yeah, it's just improving all the cleaning and hygiene standards even more than we normally do, just to keep on top of those things.
I think this is one of the exciting situations. May I jump in, Andrea?
Of course.
In this crisis, that a lot of people, or all of us, I think, are going to be very creative, and it is a try and error process, because we all have to try new things. If it works, if it works for us as hoteliers, so if the operation is okay with that, but also if it works for the corporate clients, so for the clients, for our customers, are they happy with that? And the more development we do have in that crisis, and the more possibilities we have, the more satisfied, I guess, we all could be. Because I think one point is very clear: we have to live with that virus, even if the serum is there and everybody of us is going to be inoculated. But the virus, it's still only that virus. Perhaps another virus will come, and so I guess the whole business is going to change. And this kind of hybrid events we are today discussing, I think this is new for all of us, but we have to live with it. Even the ITB has announced a few weeks ago that the ITB next year will be going to be hybrid, but the year after next year, so in 2022, it is a parallel. It will be a parallel trade fair, so we could physically meet in Berlin, and I hope you all will come. But for sure, there will be the possibility to meet on a hybrid basis as well.
Yes, so I agree with you. I would like now go back to like hybrid events, and so Marina, Anđela, and Gemma, what have you done regarding the technology? Did you invest in something new? Did you speed up your networking, your internet connection, or something like that? And Anđela, this question is both for the new Falkensteiner and for new hall, what you're building.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can start if you agree. Our digital infrastructure was already very good. So we adapted to the new situation very quickly, and we made sure to upgrade it. So now it's top of the line, and our bandwidth and connection speed is more than enough to accommodate advanced event technologies. When we are talking about more complex hybrid events, we have our excellent partners that support us with organizing. After all, we are a hotel, so we have very good partners to support us with events. When we are talking about our new venue, it is certainly a great advantage to be able to create a new venue, and at the same time you can focus and you can adapt to the market requirements during the process. The capacities of the Congress Hall already enable the arrangement of accommodation of guests according to the current measures. So there is indeed more than enough space, and we also made sure in the process of creating and building our new venue that all the technical equipment and digital infrastructure is of the highest standard, and that it fully supports all types of events, and especially now the hybrid ones.
Gemma?
Yeah, I think, I mean, for us, again, I mean, we've been working with many clients on hybrid events for many years, so the infrastructure is there already, the Wi-Fi speed is there. What we're seeing is, of course, it's going to become more common, and we've perhaps seen more of the hybrid in the larger events, whereas we're now seeing it more commonly in the smaller events in terms of our boardrooms or those setups. So we're actually setting up some of our meeting rooms to be as standard kind of setup, so that you can essentially plug and play in terms of virtual meetings, in terms of the cameras, the sound, and all of those things. So it's not a add-on for clients, and that will be a trial. We'll see how that goes, and we'll expand it into more rooms if the demand is still there, kind of going into next year. But I think in terms of for most of our clients, it's the basic IT infrastructure that enables the virtual event to go ahead that is the key for them, because they need to be able to run, whether it's a virtual studio, a hybrid event, a hub event, or they're just streaming sessions to a platform. If the IT infrastructure isn't there, and the bandwidth and those kind of more technical things that we'll go into, if that's not there, then clients can't run the event. So that's the number one. That's the most important for clients.
Marina?
And this is the same for us. As you probably know, BWH, so my company, is responsible for two brands. That is BestWestern on the one hand and World Hotels on the other hand. And these two brands for sure have, because of the fact that we are internationally working, a very high level in regards of internet connection and wireless. So there is already a good infrastructure before the virus came to us.
Exactly.
To be honest, what was really new for us was for sure hybrid. We because we are hoteliers, we are happy to have our guests in our hotels, and not on an online wall. And by the way, we want to earn money with our guests for sure. And when the hoteliers, when the participations of the conference are online, we get no money for that, because we could not bill them a day delegate rate. So this is okay, but it is a bridge to bring back the guests to our hotels. And in fact, we are now collecting first experience with hybrid events. We are only making always with partners, because as I already mentioned, we are hoteliers, we are able to host our guests, but the technique part, because this is so complex, that you always will need a very professional, high professional partner. And even the hotels do have that. We took care from our affiliate office that we negotiate with some partners in our markets that the hotels are able to hire one. And on the other hand, normally the clients brings his partner with him. So this will work. And in fact, we tested actually by ourselves, because our annual conference last week was a hybrid conference. with our members and our board. And the board and a handful of members were in our big conference room in our big hotel in Frankfurt-Eschborn. And the rest was online, and it was very excited for everybody, but it worked, to be honest. And even our board was very satisfied with it. But you're collecting experiences, and I guess it works, for sure it works, because you need the connection to your client. And when the client is only willing and able to do it on a hybrid basis, yes, then we do it on a hybrid basis. That's our job.
So when we spoke a few days ago, Gemma told us that their clients are using online platforms and that there is a big difference between streaming meetings and hybrid events. And I think that maybe in our region, people don't know the difference yet. So Gemma, could you tell us which platforms your clients are looking for? And Anđela and Marina, are your clients still doing hybrid events on Zoom and WebEx? Or they are also looking for some online platforms such as the Hopin, Axel events, Swapcard, and so on?
Yeah, I think for our clients, it ranges, because there's absolutely clients where Zoom and Teams are the right platform, and that's the smaller events, and it's where it does what it needs to do, and it's a small group conversation, it works. And there's no need to invest heavily in alternative technology when that's what the functionality is that you need. That being said, for a lot of our clients where you've got 10,000 people or even more that you need to gather on an online platform, those technologies, they're not designed for that. And we've got clients using all different technologies. And I think at the moment, I'm not seeing one that's the market leader, because all of our clients are going out. They've all been essentially forced to go virtual this year. And they're all testing out platforms, some more successfully than others. So whether they reuse that same platform next year, we'll see. But I think depending on what it is they want to achieve is how much you want to put and what's your budget for it. Because ultimately you can go for the simple, as I say, many of our clients have been streaming sessions for many years. And that again can be very basic, from one camera in the room, filming a stage, and that's what you then upload, and it's either available to an additional audience online or the people that are in the room for them to see after the event again. And that's your basic hybrid event. Or you need to go to that next level where you're looking at interactive breakout sessions, you're looking at all the kind of networking piece. A lot of our clients have exhibitions, and they can again range in size, and how you replicate that online is very hard, especially in the kind of networking piece and the exhibition piece. They're very hard to replicate, and I don't think, I've not been on one platform yet that does the same as what you do in a live event. And that is where we're seeing the kind of key from clients. And I think there's a lot of talk around, don't try and replicate an exhibition hall online, do something different to connect buyers and buyers and sellers. And that's something that all of the platforms need to keep pushing on and developing. And I think hubs as well, that's another thing we're seeing more commonly. And so the difference of obviously your virtual event just being online, maybe you need a virtual studio, your hybrid session where you've got some level of people physically in the venue and some online, and that can vary dramatically. And then your hubs where you're actually just trying to overcome the international travel restrictions. You maybe have a European hub, an America's hub, an Asian hub, or it may even be more intimate than that, and it might be a Danish hub, a UK hub, a German hub. You know, you break down to avoid the fact that people can't physically fly, but still want to be there physically in person and have some sort of interaction. So I think they're the key different ones that we're seeing, but there's not one platform that's standing out from our clients, and hopefully that will also change over the time, because we want to see one that's standing out and breaking forward. And we've actually partnered with a supplier that we can recommend to clients. Some, as they have their own platforms that they're already using, but what we've partnered with is one that we think caters to most of our clients' needs, and it's not going to be the right platform for everyone. So it's just finding the right match.
Marina, no?
Yes, I would agree with you, Gemma. There still isn't, from the point of us, a platform that stands out. But we see even the platforms in this 2020 have adapted very quickly and have changed very, very quickly. So as everything changes, I'm expecting that in a certain time, there will be leaders even in platforms. From our experience and hybrid events from 2020, some of them were just happy, and simpler ones such as Zoom and WebEx could cater. But as I mentioned before, we do have professional event planners and partners that are using more advanced platforms. It all depends actually what kind of events and what kind of conferences are taking place. How many sessions? Does it need something like Hopin does today? So it all depends, it all varies, it changes and it adapts based on the demands of the client. So I'm expecting, and we will go further on into commenting the hybrid in our next steps, that in 2021 we will have a more clear picture of how the new hybrid is going to look like. I think that 2020, we all knew hybrid events from the past. We all held them, but not so often. And they, like Marina, like you said, it was more like a bridge, because everyone wanted to have a live conference. It's just in human nature that we meet, that we share experiences. But now in 2020, we got ourselves in a completely new situation where we had to do it. We had no other alternative. So when you have to do something, you show that you can adapt quickly to the market and that you can respond to the demand. So 2021 will give us even more clear picture of what the clients are going to want based on their past experience now, and how the platforms are going to respond and who is going to become the leader.
Not a lot to add from my perspective. It's the same for my markets. No wow platform, which is number one. For the normal virtual meetings, Teams, so in Germany and Austria, Teams, Zoom, and sometimes Skype Business and GoToMeeting are very popular platforms for the day-to-day business, so for the daily business. And in regards of the really high professional platforms, I think as well, 21 will show us all which will overlive and which will make the game. But to be honest, for me it doesn't care, because or I don't care, because I expect from a partner, from a professional technique partner, that he has a look at the market, has an overview over the market, and is able to support us with the best technique which is on the market. That's it.
And I think just looking at Nicolita's question in the
I
chat.
Yes, I also was looking at it now, yeah.
Yeah, and I think just in terms of the platform is obviously very important for delivering a successful event, but actually that's only a small part of it. In terms of delivering a successful hybrid event, it really depends on clients' budget, but you need to engage with the audience. And I think, we've been looking at a lot of TV production styles. There's a reason that we all sit and flip through Netflix for hours on end. Whereas when we're watching certain kind of business events, we maybe drift off and start thinking about something else, what to eat for lunch, and checking emails at the same time and multitasking and not really paying attention. And it comes down to engagement. And I think that's where we as venues do have the opportunity, whether that's through partners or through in-house expertise, is in the same way that when we're talking to clients around how to run a good live event, we can give that advice on how to run a good virtual or hybrid event. And it needs good virtual studios where you've got moving imagery. It requires camera angles changing, multiple speakers on a stage, so that there's, I think someone said it's something like every 7 minutes there needs to be something new before people have lost interest and they're looking somewhere else. And that's not very easy to achieve on the screen at a business event. So that's
actually, it's a very demanding project.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But
very demanding project.
But I think especially now, How Festival did make a good job, because the sessions are not longer than 30, 40 minutes. And this is, I guess, one of the biggest things you have to take care of your listeners, of your participations, because you lose the interest, I guess, after 40 minutes or 50 minutes or so. Not even an hour, we are able to listen to a hybrid session, and this is really a difference when in comparison to the live events, because there is another mood, there is another feeling in a big hall, and when you are sitting alone in your home office and listen to panels, it must not have the session must not be longer than 30 minutes. And
I mean, that's true. When How Festival is held live, physically in Porridge, our panel discussions are 45 minutes long.
Yeah,
and in May, we had first How Online, and panel discussion was 35 minutes. And now we said, okay, it will be 30 minutes, because it's really hard to do the same way as the real event. And also, I would go to the Nicoletta questions, because I think she has really 3 great questions. So do you think that it's possible to replace live event? And what is the most important factor in organization of hybrid events in order to realize a successful hybrid event?
And when I want to start, I don't know. It is on a long-term way, it is not possible to replace live events. And all the people to whom we talk during the last weeks, everybody says it is part of the success of a company that you meet personally. So that's why I always call it bridge. It is a bridge, and you could combine personal meetings and hybrid meetings. But I'm on a long-term way. I'm not convinced. Perhaps it has something to do with my age. But I think it is also for young people very, very, very important to meet personally, and because. When you think of a professional meeting or a professional congress, for example, the business is not made during the sessions. It is made in the evening when you meet, when you have your after work drink, when you have your welcome drink, I don't know where, and this is so, and this is really going to lose. Even when you send before a glass of wine or a bottle of wine to the participants and said, okay, we meet at 6 in the evening and have a glass of wine together, you could not speak so directly to your neighbor. And that's my opinion in that question.
Yeah, I would agree completely. I mean, hybrid events are here, they will be here. It's going to be interesting to see in the upcoming years how it's going to develop.
Absolutely.
And in which percentage is it going to stay? Because obviously the event organizers, the companies are going to see about their budgets, about the size of the event. Does it make sense to bring worldwide people to a certain events or not? Obviously, some conferences and congresses will always stay completely live. But hybrid is something that it's never going to be able to replace completely, because it's in human nature. We need to interact directly. We need to share experiences directly between each other. This is something that will never change. And of course, for us hoteliers, it's very important that it stays that way, so that we show that, yes, we can do hybrid. We can host your events partially virtual, but also we will always stay at home to live events, to people interacting directly. And I think that when we are talking about post-COVID-19 times, because this is something that we are waiting for to happen, that people will need and want even more to interact that way and to share the experience, to share knowledge, to share best practices of coming forward in the future, and in bridging the gaps and the situations that we experience now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, are we going to see more virtual events? Absolutely. Does that mean they're replacing the physical events? Not necessarily, because we're opening up for a lot of people to say, oh, I can start a virtual event. Whether they'll be good events, that's another question. But it makes it much easier for people to set up an event. It's generally less cost, and there's not as much risk in terms of doing it. So there will be more virtual events, but that's not necessarily competing with business we would have had in our venues. And the hybrid events and the hubs, they were here before Corona. They're not going anywhere. A lot of clients have been forced into testing them this year, and they've seen they work, and they're not going to go away. Other clients have seen they don't work for their model, so they will stay in the physical form. We've got some clients that have been very clear with us that they want to go ahead in the full physical event next year, and if they can't go ahead, they don't want a hybrid, they don't want a virtual, because, and that tends to be our clients that are more heavily on the networking and the exhibition piece rather than the conference piece, because it's harder to replicate online and they can't deliver the value to their exhibitors and their sponsors. That being said, a lot of our clients, they have been forced to go virtual this year, and they've actually increased their number of attendees hugely and have absolutely exploding in terms of attendee numbers. And so they're seeing a new opportunity here, and that has varied from client to client depending on how much they've charged. Do you charge the same for the content if it's online as if you were attending in physical form? Most around come into the answer of yes, you should. The content's still worth it. But there will be markets or certain delegate groups that are more likely to attend virtually. It could be students, or it could be a region that doesn't have the same funding as other regions. So they can now attend because they haven't got to pay for a flight, they haven't got to pay for their hotel and all of their meals and those things. So it becomes more affordable to attend. There's also been some research around attendees and are they likely to go back to attending events? And if so, what events will they attend? Most people will go back to attending events they've been to before, which means how do you get in new people? And it could be that year one, they attend virtually, and then year two or year three, then they turn into a physical attendee for the event. So some clients are now seeing the virtual or the hybrid part of their event as the funnel for their attendees for their physical event. So you can grow that, grow your attendees in different ways. So I think hybrid virtual hubs, they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere, but I don't think we should see them as a threat. It's another part to our business, and we need to develop with it to still stay relevant and make sure our venues are still there to deliver the purpose that they've got.
I couldn't agree more. So we have a few more minutes left, but before some final questions, I would like to ask Anđela and Marina. So do you have maybe some special marketing activities or for some countries or industries? How do you attract your clients, and what do you have some special offers?
What we for sure did is as soon as we were able to offer hybrid events, we started a marketing campaign to tell it the market for sure. We have regular newsletters on a monthly and 2 weekly basis to our corporate and MICE clients. And for sure, we use that database to inform our clients about that new development in our company. Furthermore, we use every channel to associates, to partners, to tell them that we're there. So we had invest a little marketing money, which is still there, to tell the client and to tell the market what is new for us. For sure, we did that. So we started a safe and clean campaign, which is parallel to these hybrid events in regards of building up trust to the clients and so on. Yes, for sure we did.
Yeah, we did the same in terms of our regular newsletters. We adapted them, and we through them we sent a message that we are flexible on the new situations and what we can do in each of our hotels, because similar as you, Marina, in our company, we are also present in 7 countries.
Yeah.
So we had to address to every of those countries in our MICE hotels the proper message. Falkensteiner as a group also implemented very quickly the safe stay concept. That this is something that is extremely important for our guests and for our clients to know that they can always feel safe in our hotels. And when we are talking about markets, I would say that for 2021, we will be having a representative in the German market for our hotels. It's very important for us. It's a huge market, and we want to generate more demand. even in the year as 2021 is expected to be. So with the capacities, the amount of fundings that we have for marketing for 2020 and coming forward to 2021, of course, we generated towards the promoting what we can do in terms of hybrid events, in terms of the regular events, and of course to once again give a direct message and to show by example towards our clients and guests that we are there for them and a loyal partner.
Last question to all. When do you expect that the conference numbers and meetings will go as pre-COVID? Tough question.
I think
first prize when we could answer that question very seriously, to be honest. This is a call with this cup which is covered. Yeah, good question.
I mean, we are working on the assumption that 24 to 25 will be back to pre-corona levels.
So 5 years.
Yeah. But we will see what happens next year because, I mean, I think there's two pieces looking at it as well, because sustainability was also pushing people to be reluctant to travel already before Corona hit, and that will come out on the other side as well. So that's what we're working towards. Yeah. But we hope it's sooner and be optimistic.
I would go on the Gemma side. Not happy to say that, but maybe the future will surprise us. If anything, this year, what we have learned is that we really cannot plan ahead. So I know that we all like to plan and forecast, and that we always count on something, and that we refer to the past years and all of that. But honestly, it's going to be really interesting to see the development. But I would say yes, up to 3 to 5 years in a proper manner. We will see in 2021. I would say mostly in Q4. People will want to go out. People will want to get out of this virtual space, so to say. But the percentage of it, how it's going to be, it's highly unlikely that it's going to be even close to the level as it was in 2019 or 18 or before in the past. So 2021 will bring us a comeback, but it's going to be let's say intro and a slower comeback, which leaves us to work strong and to work hard to keep on the market and to lift ourselves above.
I would like to stay positive and say top 2 years.
I think.
No, I said next year. I just said not in the amount that we want. Yeah.
But I think it also depends from the market, because
that's also.
I think that Germany is a very strong business market, and I'm convinced that seeing all the markets or comparing all the markets for which we are responsible for, I think the German market is the first who will recover. Because when this market is not recovering, then I see that it's not very positive for the other markets. But I think and that should not be coming over very arrogant, but I think from the German market a lot of is depending, and that's why I mentioned that. And it's very domestic. It will be very domestic next year, I guess. This is perhaps an important add as well for all our markets. And in 2021, it's going perhaps slightly more international, when international business is coming back and when it's allowed again. I think this has something to do with that. And then at least 3 years, I would say.
Girls, thank you very much. We're running out of the time. This was really great panel discussion.
4 ladies.
4 ladies. Dear participants, now we have a coffee break, actually networking. So feel free to go on the tab networking, share audio and video, and meet some new friends. Girls, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.